So I will say, if I had to pick three, these are the three lenses that I would choose. I hope I don't offend any of you with my choices. Good morning everyone, Gadget here with another video, and before I get started, thank you all for supporting the channel, whether you're watching, leaving comments, and subscribing. Thank you so much. In this video, I'm gonna talk about my top three lenses. I'm gonna talk about what I rely on, and if I had to pick the three lenses from Fuji that I would choose. Now, Fuji is known to have a great lineup of glass, whether it's travel, portraiture, street photography, anything that I'm looking to capture, they got a great collection of lenses that I can go back to get the shot that I'm looking for. Before I tell you the top three, let me just quickly run through the entire collection that I have to do the work that I do. The most recent one I've added is the 16-1.4 prime lens. I also have the 16-55 zoom lens. This one's mainly used for video. There's also the 23 f2 weather resistant lens as well. I'm recording this video on the sister to that lens, the 35 f2 as well. I also have the 56-1.2. This thing's a beast. We're gonna talk about this one. I also have the 80 f2.8 macro lens. This thing is formidable, to say the least. And lastly, I have the 50-140 2.8 lens as well. All right, now that that's out of the way, of all of these lenses, which are the three that I can't live without, which are the three that are my favorites, and which are the three that I usually recommend the most to other people? Let's get it started. The first one is the 16-1.4. I've probably had this lens the longest, I guess you could say. I used it for a recent trip to New York, and I just fell in love with this thing. It's like when a chef picks up a knife and just by handling it, they know right away that this one is special. Well, this lens is special. And as you see, some of the pictures that are coming up, it has certain characteristics that just let you capture the shot in a unique way. And then again, 16 millimeters on this translates to roughly 24 millimeters, still a wide angle of view for Fuji. While it's larger and may not focus as fast as some other lenses, it just has an amazing perspective that invites you to experiment with it. This is the only lens with an aperture larger than f2 that has weather and dust resistance. And while weather usually doesn't stop me from getting the picture, as you can see from some of the shots that are coming up, you'll see that weather wasn't in our favor, but to have that kind of latitude and that kind of versatility on a lens, it does give you a certain peace of mind. What I really liked about this lens is that you get a lot of the shot in the frame. Of course, you get that with the wide angle, but the sharpness, if you look at some of these pictures, the sharpness that you get is amazing. For example, this picture here, you can see the pores on the skin. The wide angle allows you to get a unique perspective where you can go up against a wall, against a window, or over the shoulder of an individual and get a unique perspective. It's almost like a video game. You're in a third person kind of view. Especially when you're up against a wall or a pane of glass, you really get this elongation that forces the viewer to look at your subject. And that's just something I love about this lens. And the fact that it maintains sharpness is also amazing. Also, you can switch to manual focus just by bringing this little ring down. Just to be able to quickly switch between manual focus and autofocus on the go is also a welcome addition. For those of you that are wondering, I do have the Fuji metal hood on this thing. I just love the look of it on top of cutting out glare and all this kind of thing. I like this square look. It seems really retro and goes with the styling of a lot of Fuji cameras. Because of the versatility, perspective, and design, the 16mm f1.4 makes my top three. The 23 f2. Yeah, this is gonna shock a few people. It's almost like the ugly stepchild of the f2 series of lenses, but this one, of all of them, is my favorite. You're gonna see a bunch of pictures coming up now. I've had this lens the longest. It's the first lens I got when I switched over to Fuji, and I absolutely love it. After going through multiple periods of testing different lenses and using one lens exclusively and swapping it out for another, this is the one that I'm least likely to leave behind if I'm catching a flight or about to go on a shoot. The perspective here is something that you'd find way more interesting than the 35 f2. The 35 equates to about 50 millimeters. This one is closer to that 35 millimeter range. And again, I like this perspective. I like it a little bit wider, but not as wide as a 16 for most of my shots. While many aficionados will come out and talk about sharpness at the edges and performance at certain f-stops, let me just tell you that the quality to price ratio on this piece of glass make it a must-have for any travel or street photographer. It's compact, weather resistant, catches focus very quickly, and most importantly, it barely feels like it's there. So when you're carrying around your camera and your lens for an entire day when you're traveling, or you're doing a shoot that's 8 hours long, having this around really makes it easier for you to get the shots that you want to get. Pixel peepers, try saying that 10 times fast, they'll argue the merits of just getting the 23 f1.4, the cousin to this thing, but for people such as myself that are on the go, the size, weight, and speed advantages offered by this lens are just hard to ignore. This isn't just a lens to me, and it might sound weird, but this is a statement in engineering and craftsmanship. Trade-offs made to offer legitimate use case advantages. This lens is more often than not the first lens I recommend for any Fuji photographer. The third and final lens, if I only had to pick 3 from Fuji, is the 56-1.2. Listen, I get it. It's an expensive lens. It's not cheap. But believe me, this is a cheat code, okay? This is, in all my years of using various lenses on various bodies across different systems, there has not been a single piece of glass that has made me happier than this one right here. The 56-1.2 was the second lens I bought, but it's number 1 in my books. It is a cheat code. I mean, if you take the time to make this thing an extension of your creative vision, the possibilities are truly endless. The super shallow depth of field are pleasant and give plenty of opportunity to test creative ideas. It's incredibly sharp, so much so that it would be criminal to charge what they charge for this thing. I'm telling you right now, Fuji could get away with charging more for this lens, and they don't. So if you really had to save up, start now. The colors rendered here are absolutely amazing, and though it may miss focus in certain speedy environments, it truly exceeds all expectations in the studio. I'm also happy to say that on the Fuji X-T3, this thing focuses even faster than before. It's like it got bit by a radioactive spider and got superpowers. If you're looking to take your work more seriously, you want to start charging people for your work maybe, you want to differentiate and just capture things a little bit differently, the 56-1.2 I cannot recommend highly enough. Add this to your collection, you will not regret it. So there you have it, everyone. You have seen all the lenses that I use for different reasons, but those are the 3. If I only could pick 3, those are the 3 that I would have in my collection. And I'd love to hear, what are your top 3 lenses? It doesn't have to be Fuji. What are your top 3 lenses? Leave it in the comments below. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, well, hit that like button. Make sure to hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Over the next few months, you've seen my favorite lenses. I'm gonna start showing you how I use them in shooting environments. So stay tuned for that. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.